So I want to spend this next little subject just having open-ended discussion on the concept of rights. Okay, you talked about, and I'll have you bring it back to the Smithfield.
Okay.
What my definition of a right, well, not my definition, my qualification of what a right is that nothing can be a right if it infringes on somebody else's rights or freedoms or property, right? A right is something that's universal, that if I exercise mine and don't abuse it, it has no impact on anybody else. My right to life, my right to a Second Amendment, my right to speech, my right to whatever does not infringe on anybody else's right to those same things. Because that's what a right is, whether it's a constitutional right or whether it's an inalienable right from God. When it comes to bathroom rights, they say transgenders have a right to go in the other sex's bathroom. To me, that clearly infringes on the rights of all those people, boys or girls, in those other bathrooms that don't want somebody of the opposite biological sex in there. How do you feel about all that?
It's a very complicated issue. And I would say generally that women or girls and boys too have a right to access single sex spaces. And then I always go back to compassion, right? And so I think that the best way to solve it is through, because there's such controversy, why can't you have 3 types of spaces, right? You can have boys only, girls only, or anything goes, right? And it doesn't have to be a single stall.
That would be an acceptable alternative, a little expensive for every school, but still, at least it wouldn't violate on someone else's rights, right? Or beliefs.
So I see that as a possible solution, right?
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
okay
you
with that.
Right. So I think, and this is just my personal opinion, right? I
Sure,
want to make it clear that I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not the group.
Okay.
My personal position is, there comes a point in a transition where it might be uncomfortable for a trans adult to use the bathroom of their assigned birth, right? And a famous or more quote unquote famous person would be like someone like Blair White, whose gender, who easily passes for a female. And I don't think anyone would see Blair in a bathroom and be afraid or scared, right? And then there were transgender people who are earlier on in their journey that would be more obviously someone who depending on your viewpoint might look quote unquote out of place, that might make people feel uncomfortable. And so where do you draw that line? Like, there's no subjective test, right? So you have to draw a bright line, but then how do you draw the bright line and also be compassionate? And I don't know that I have the answer to that. And it's definitely something I'm open to having more conversations about, because, speaking, there's transgender, she's conservative. Her name is Sarah Higdon out of Georgia. She actually came to Rhode Island for one of Nicole's events. I speak with her on the phone and, just discussing her journey and what's going on with her. She believes that she has a right to access female bathrooms.
All right, 2 points on that. Is it compassionate to enable someone's delusion?
Is it compassionate? I certainly don't think that anybody should be forced to. And I have to say, in conversations with people who either are transgender or were and now have detransitioned, it's a really complicated issue. And as I said, I don't know that I have a solution, and I don't know that I have a firm position on it, other than we need to have compassion and we need to figure something out, right?
Isn't truth the best solution, though? You're not, little Johnny, I'm sorry, you're not a girl. Sorry,
Well,
you're not. Isn't truth the best in the end?
A truth, yes. And certainly if you're religious and it goes against your religious beliefs, absolutely, we need to be defending religious freedom. That's absolutely 100%. And I think that there's a big difference between what happens as an adult and what happens in K through 12. There's a huge difference. And that's where parents need to get involved. And
Absolutely.
also I would argue that if a kid is confused, you need even more compassion, because it's hard enough to grow up and to go through the puberty and go through the, all the things. Your hormones are raging. It's a very awkward time, especially in middle school. And, I think
Yeah,
supportive.
but it depends how you define compassion. Is compassion setting the kid on the path of reality, or is compassion not upsetting the apple cart and allowing the kid to go down this delusional path? That's just my question. One more thing on
It's my
rights.
personal belief too, that the most compassionate thing is to guide them through it, reassure
Right.
them. Everybody feels isolated, everybody feels weird, and let them grow up. In my opinion, the most compassionate thing is talking it through, seeing the mental health counselor, and letting the kids be. 90% of them are going to grow out of this, and they're going to be just fine. And what we want at the end is for kids to have a healthy, intact, functioning body.
Yep. All right, I want to raise it beyond the whole transgender and getting into the larger, whether it's woke, whether it's progressive left, of this whole identity politics, victimization, special rights. In this country, we have a concept of equality, right? Equal treatment under the law, not equity, equality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Equal rights for everyone, which then the converse of that is no special rights for anyone. You can claim you're part of some group, you can be part of some group, but that does not mean you get special rights that other people don't get. So when you think of things like reparations or anything else like that, or bathroom rights, you can make other people uncomfortable if it makes you. We don't give special rights are what divides communities. Special rights are what, like you said, cannot be defined, cannot adequately. No, there's no one size fits all government solution that can define who is in that special group and when that special right applies. Imagine trying to figure out who's available for reparations or who's not, right? I mean, just think about the inanity of that. So I'm just generally against any kind of special right that any identity victim group tries to claim they have.
So I think the important point there is, especially when you're talking with regard to gender identity and the claim that it's fluid and can change from day to day, I think that's an important distinction that everybody needs to consider as we're creating policy that applies to K through 12 education. So, and again, it's a thorny question. There's a lot of discussion to be had, but also in the meantime, what we don't want to do is say for the 0.1% or whatever the actual statistic is, we can't elevate the few over the objection or comfort of the many. And
that's another reason you don't have special rights, because why do we cater to the few and not the many? Nobody seems to ever think about the many, right? The probably 95% of girls who don't want a man in their bathroom, so I don't know.